That's
first,
good.
though.
Sounds good to
Based
me.
on, I believe I remember that I did Duran Duran. I
Yes.
think I did. I
Yep.
don't remember for sure. It's been a
That's
while.
right. You're right.
Yeah, I don't remember doing Motley Crue.
Sure. That's. I'm sure there are a lot of girls in the '80s who remember the same thing.
Oh God. Oh no. Now you've really said it. All right. I somehow I've made this worse. I was like, oh, I'll pull it closer to myself, and then immediately it was like, nah, whatever. I don't really care. It'll ruin the here. I'll just hold my arm like this. That'll keep the illusion.
Yeah. I think that's
It's
comfortable,
only
right?
very uncomfortable.
Well, how uncomfortable can it be for the next hour and change?
That's true. How about that? That seems better.
That
That
works.
seems like a much smarter plan.
I guess.
All right. Now I'm coming to you live from the Totem Talk studios.
Yes. Deep in the heart of Yardley.
Oh, lordy. Okay. Am I ready emotionally?
That's the most important question.
I think I am. I think I'm ready
Okay.
emotionally.
Then I'm gonna count us in. Three, two, one.
Don't tell my pod, my achy breaky cast. You can call it Totem Talks.
Yes. Well done. Well done.
Look, what else could there have been? I mean,
It
there's
wouldn't
plenty
have.
that it could have
Yeah,
been.
there's plenty that it could have been. I think this week is the first time I actually had to listen to that song all the way through.
I'm sorry.
Yep. First time I ever heard it all the way through.
Here's the thing. I have a question for you.
I'm ready for it.
Was it for you like it is for me, an incessant earworm that you cannot get out of your head?
No. No,
Oh,
luckily like I couldn't have gotten past two lines of melody the way that you just got to like a third or a fourth there. Like you got
I
to some stuff and I'm like, "Oh, I
truly,
didn't know that's how it went."
I truly am happy for you
Yeah, I'm going to
for
try to stay
achieving a
that
goal
way.
that I can only
Yeah.
dream of, because that song has stuck in my head with the superest of glues for
Uh,
some reason.
I'm very very sorry to hear that. No spoilers obviously because maybe I'm very happy to hear that
That's true.
based on how
Honestly,
the rest of the episode's going to go.
honestly, no spoilers indeed.
No. I don't believe in them.
Welcome in everybody to the finale, of Totem Talk, Season 7, Episode 25.
That's right.
And it's going to be a bangers.
I get it.
Uh, anyway,
We'll all get
you're
it
Nick,
soon.
I'm Pat, we're Totem Talks. And I got to ask you, Nick,
Yep.
this is a wellness check. How are you?
Um, I don't know if I can talk about it on camera.
Good.
You know what? The next hour or so is going to be cathartic, I think.
Good. Good,
I
good,
think
good.
I'll get everything I need out talking to you.
Hey, you know what, man? You can always talk to me. But
Thank you. I
only on
appreciate
camera
that.
for our lovely listeners.
Obviously, I would never talk to you off camera.
No, we don't interact outside
No,
of this. That's at
never.
all. All right. Anyway, before we get going, I just want to remind anybody who maybe it's been a while since we've ended a season, 25 weeks roughly, but by 25 I mean closer to like 40 basically with this
Probably.
season. But more importantly, to refresh anybody who maybe they haven't experienced the end of a Totem Talk season. Maybe they started at season 7. Here's what happens at the end of a season. We're going to end the season this episode.
You're right.
We're going to determine the winner of this episode. What comes next is truly some of my favorite episodes that
That's
we
true.
do.
That's fair.
They're the best of the rest,
I like that one a
which
lot.
is a journey we go on. So we obviously don't cover every album by every artist on a season. So there are some that are left by the wayside. Our formula is the first album, the last album, and then typically the highest selling album, with some exception. If there's
Right.
no sales data, we'll go with highest charting. If there's one
Sure.
album that's just like iconic for that person, we might go with that one.
Right.
But either way, there are gaps. And Best of the Rest is a way to fill those gaps. We pick together, we each pick 5 albums, I think is what we did. We might do
Yes.
6 or whatever. We'll do a number of albums
We will.
where we will listen to them and kind of rank ours and our co-hosts' albums. And it's a much more positive centric episode.
It is.
Where we're just kind of shouting out good music that we like to talk about, which is all this podcast is hopefully most weeks is
Yeah.
us shouting out good music. And then we have the real data driven awards show, where we will give out multiple awards, including the worst of awards. But we'll talk about the best ofs and the worst ofs, and then the overall season winner. So find out who wins season 7 of Totem Talks. Maybe we'll talk about
exciting.
them today. We don't know.
Maybe.
We don't have that data
That's
wrapped up
true.
yet.
That's true.
And then we'll go into a half season.
Yes. That's right.
Yeah, which I don't know the theme of. I don't know if you. I'm sure you have
The
theme.
theme. The theme is totally 90s.
Love that. Love
So-
that.
It does. It covers a wide swath of different artists and genres who were popular in the 90s.
Nice. Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. So that's a half season. It's 4 episodes, I think, is the way we did it last time. So a short little blurb. But that's how we wrap up our season, and that's going to be the end of everything with season 7 or 7.5.
That's right.
So that's that. So now you have all the information. There's one bit of information left.
Who are we
Nick,
covering
who are
on
we
this
covering
week's
today?
episode? Yeah. Well, we are wrapping up season 7 with the Cyrus family brawl. So, in case you didn't get the idea of Billy Ray Cyrus from Pat's beautiful opening, he is going to be matched up against his daughter Miley today. So that will be
That's true.
everything that anyone who knows us expects it to be.
We are not covering Noah Cyrus or Trace
That's
Cyrus,
correct. No,
I wanna
that
be
will be
clear.
a different Cyrus family brawl in season 28.
though. Oh my god. I feel like that would not be as fun.
No, it won't. But hey, who knows?
I
By
might
season
still know
28,
a
you never
Metro,
know.
There's a Metro Station song. Shake It, right? That's Metro Station.
I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure I'm right. I'm pretty sure there's a song called Shake It. And Metro Station is that. And I believe Trace Cyrus is in Metro Station.
And
or
I
was in
found out
Metro
that
Station.
Trace Cyrus existed this week during my research. So
Oh, perfect.
there we go. I was vaguely aware that a Noah existed, although I found out this week during my research that Noah is the name of a woman.
Yes.
I
that
did
is
not
correct.
know. I just assumed that Noah was the name of a man, but I was wrong. And that's why you don't
Well,
listen
I
to
mean,
things.
that's honestly,
I learned a valuable lesson.
you learned a valuable life lesson. As did I with our listening this week. And that is,
Yeah.
you know, you start a podcast with your best friend, and you're like, we're going to find out the greatest musical artist of all time. And at any week, it could be that time where you find them, but not this week. Not this
but
I'll tell
not
you.
most weeks.
Not most weeks. Most weeks, you're getting an artist.
True.
And some weeks you're getting a good artist, and some weeks you're getting a
Often
bad
things
artist.
that we enjoy.
Yeah,
I think next season, I have more hope for next season.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
Because you are a person who does not have a lot of hope. You're quite the
No,
cynic.
yes. I don't have any hope. Like, I have less hope that humanity will survive season 8 than I do that we'll enjoy it.
Yeah, that's accurate. That's fair. That's totally
I will say
understandable.
this about season 8. I know it's early. We'll move on to the episode after this.
You're
Like
good.
a little bit more musical diversity. At this point, once I switched things over to the two artists, by season 8 was where I really started saying like, eh, you know what? Let's just throw some weird stuff in there. Let's throw some different stuff in there. Let's try to find different artists from around the world to incorporate. Let's do things that are different. Like there'll still be a lot of the artists you know and love or know and hate.
Yeah,
But there'll be a lot of other more at least interesting things to learn about mixed in.
cool.
So for that I'm excited.
Yeah, That sounds great to me, man.
Yes.
You know I'm in.
Yeah.
All right. I think without any further ado, let's get us going here. We're going to start with Miley Cyrus. So, Miley Cyrus, born Destiny Hope Cyrus, is an American singer, songwriter, and actress. She's been active since 2001. So, from the ripe old age of 9. And we covered 3 albums. And we we covered 3 albums as always. So we started with Meet Miley Cyrus, which makes sense. We followed that up. That came out in 2007 on my birthday in 2007.
Yeah, how about
wouldn't
that?
You know, we followed that up with Bangers with a Z, which came out in 2013.
On your birthday?
No,
No.
not
Okay.
on my birthday.
Right.
A few days after your wife's birthday.
Okay.
So,
I'll take it.
we're,
How many days?
4.
4. Ah, damn. Okay.
And then we wrapped things up with Endless Summer Vacation, which is not near a conceivable birthday.
No. Okay. No one could conceive of a birthday at that date.
No, but it did come out in 2023 in March, which
Okay. No birthdays then.
not many March birthdays that I'm aware of. Although my aunt was born on the Ides of March. But
Oh, just like that episode that we did that one time.
exactly.
All right, tell us about it. Meet
I'll
Miley
tell you a
Cyrus.
little bit about it. Now, before we get into Meet Miley Cyrus, I just want to be clear
Please.
for our listeners who may be clamoring for Hannah Montana.
Clamoring.
Which,
Every week, no matter who we're covering.
Yeah, of course. By we I mean me. Miley Cyrus was my artist this week. I was looking and I was really attempting to put a Hannah Montana album in this, and I really just couldn't. The Hannah Montana albums are soundtracks to the season of the show, and are therefore not all Miley Cyrus singing. They're mostly Miley Cyrus singing, but they're not all of her singing. So the same way we wouldn't include a film soundtrack, we're not going to include the Hannah Montana stuff. Although I'm making the decision, and I think you'll back me up on this, to include the Hannah Montana notoriety
Oh yeah, that's
in
fine.
Miley Cyrus,
Totally.
rather than have that try to be a completely
No,
separate thing.
I agree with that.
So that is my piece on that. So Meet Miley Cyrus. 2007 is the year, and we met Miley Cyrus,
Yes.
and I learned something about Miley Cyrus. She is a singer. That's I mean really, and when I say that, I mean that she is singing these songs. These are not. She's not in the creative process of these songs. She is not anything other than a vocalist for these at this point. Now she's she's
For the
young.
Hannah
In
Montana ones, you mean?
2006. Yeah, for the Hannah for
Okay,
no
'cause
for even
she is credited as a writer on a lot of the ones on the Meet Miley Cyrus.
she's credited
edition.
as the first credited writer on them.
Not all
She's
of them, but-
contributing some of the lyrics
Yes, right.
at this point in her career. And I'll tell you what, looking at the names between the Hannah Montana part, because Meet Miley Cyrus was released as a double album with Hannah Montana
Right,
2, and then was also released separately to that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're getting names like the big one for me is Cara
Cara
Diagordi.
Diagordi.
Every time I see Cara Diagordi, I know I'm not going to like the song.
Correct.
I didn't really like her as a judge in American Idol, and I don't really like her as a writer on songs. So, sorry, Cara.
That's
But anyway, these songs are pop, like
Hmm.
product, and Miley Cyrus is 13 or 14 years old at this point. She's our age, so she might be
Yeah.
14. She's right around
It
that
was, well,
age.
if it's 2007, it was released the year that we all went from 14 to 15.
Yeah, so she was
So,
probably 14 recording them.
yes.
You can hear the youth in her voice, but there's definitely vocal talent there. She's got a good voice. The subject matter is very much I'm not the demographic for it at all because I don't think she's writing to
Hmm.
like men in their early 30s.
You don't say.
I think she might be writing to 15-year-old girls
At the
if I had
oldest.
to guess. Yeah, so all of that to say I didn't enjoy this album.
Yep.
I didn't enjoy it really at all. And also, I think that the big issue I had with it was clear that while she was contributing, some lyrics to these songs, she was not given like a direction with which to sing. It was almost like sing some things that are like almost Hannah Montana. We're writing the tunes, but they're going to be a little different, and you can go a little different, but like not really.
Right.
That's kind of the vibe that I got.
Okay.
And now, youth plays a part in that and just kind of being pointed in a direction. So I'm not going to like crucify Miley Cyrus for any of that,
No need
but
to.
definitely not an enjoyable listen to go back and listen. It definitely feels like they're writing to try to get her name out there in conjunction with Hannah Montana
Yeah,
to
exactly.
almost like double up on the fame of it all.
Hmm. Yeah, because she's in the process of transitioning to being her own person, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to start out with what is actually interesting about this album. And I think it's sort of the year 2007 because we're starting to border on the last time that it would be totally acceptable for a pop album to include at least largely rock instrumentalists playing on it. Not always. Some of these songs are definitely more like electronic-y
Yeah.
in their composition, but a lot of them are like pop rock or pop country. One of them was a reggae song. Um, but the thing that underlied all of them, no matter what, is that they were the cheapest, corniest, shallowest
Yeah.
version of all of those
Yeah.
things. And the reason for that is, as you keep like alluding to, is this is an album of pop songs for children performed by a child. Uh,
Yeah.
and at the end of
That's
the day, that's what it is. And I
very accurate.
can't find anything that is valuable to me in that. And so I will move on to bangers. And my main point about the songs on this album is that they were not. Um,
Songs? We're
the
not
songs were
songs?
not. No, no, no. They were not bangers.
Oh, good. Good.
Uh,
Yeah. No.
I didn't know what to expect. So after the first album, I'm like, this is like children's music. It's one step removed from children's music, basically. So I was kind of thinking, all right, this one's going to be more adult. And then I was all like three or four songs, and I'm like, maybe take me back to the children's album because at least it sounded better sonically. Um, like this is super electro dance pop. Um, I can't find any sort of interesting anything in it. Lyrically, it's somehow worse than like I'm a child and if I break up with my boyfriend in high school, that's not the end of the world. Like it was still somehow worse than that to me. I think a good um example of that is the song Love Money Party, which is pretty much it. Like that those are the words like love money party. Okay. Like all right. Like this like she's evolved from writing songs for like 12-year-old girls to writing songs for like 18 to 23-year-old girls exclusively when they are in the club because these
Yeah.
songs, not all of them, 90% of these songs hold no interest or value or listenability outside of the venue of being in a dance club, which is not a place I would ever go for any reason at any age in my life. So I
I
did not
I
enjoy
would say
this.
that's a bold faced lie. If somebody said to
Okay.
you right now, I will give you $1 million to
Okay,
spend an
fair enough.
hour in a dance club,
I would do
you
that.
would go.
And
So
I'm
don't
allowed to
say
bring
no
I'm
reason.
allowed to bring my earplugs, right?
No, not for $1 million. You're
Fine.
suffering.
Okay. I mean, I bring my earplugs to things that I like listening to. It's just when they're that loud.
Yeah, no,
I'm
you're
more
suffering
concerned
the
about.
pain.
All right,
You're
fine.
getting the headache.
Um, whatever for $1 million, yeah. But like, no, this is like again, it's another thing. Like the demographic for this is slightly older, but the music almost feels shallower for that age group than the first one did, even for kids. And it is not for me. I hated it. I hated it.
Cool. Okay. Uh, I think it would be unfair to talk about just the quality of the album without talking about the the behind the scenes of this album.
Go right ahead.
So Bangers really is what signified the large scale jump of Miley Cyrus away from Disney, from Hannah Montana. We'll talk more about the Bangers era and what the
I
things
figured.
that happened in the Bangers era for Miley, but it was really like the jumping point for her into being her own artist. And there was some like really iconic things. I mean, I think everybody in this generation and who was on the internet at that time saw at least excerpts from the Wrecking Ball video
Sure, yeah.
of her swinging in like just naked on a wrecking ball, just singing the song. So there was a lot of like iconic marketing and
Hmm.
imagery and everything around this album. But yeah, the songs suck. I mean, that's true. That's very true. This album, I'm really glad we did cover Bangers because it covers one of the worst lyrical tragedies I've ever heard, which is we run things, things don't run we. In the song "We Can't Stop," it goes, "We can't stop, we won't stop. We run things, things don't run. We can't take nothing from nobody." And
Is that what? Okay, I
that's
couldn't.
one of the
I can't
yeah.
even make it out. But
That's exactly
yikes,
what was said. That was it.
yikes.
I don't know what you referenced the LT gigs about, Keith, but I'm sad about it. You make me
Yeah,
sad,
I'm feeling like
but I
quitting
love you.
music now.
But yeah, so that's like a big. Oh, are you saying that I swing nude on a wrecking ball? Because that's what
I
the time
mean,
of your comment would say.
that
Which I
would
would.
be preferable to me.
I'll do it. And give me like another year, then I'll do it.
I love it.
Um, the other thing for this album, so like you have Wrecking Ball, you have We Can't Stop, which were both decent. Oh, bringing earplugs, yeah,
That's
that's
important.
we do wear
Anytime
earplugs at
you
our
go to,
gigs.
yeah, we wear them. Honestly, if you go see live music and you're close to it, you should also bring earplugs.
Bring earplugs. Like you don't have to bring
Earplugs.
full like wax earplugs like you would if you're swimming. They have good quality earplugs that still let in a lot of the healthy decibel levels that don't hurt your hearing.
Yeah.
Really couldn't recommend them enough. I
Agreed.
wear them anytime I'm at a place where it's going to be exceptionally loud. I wore them when I went to the Phillies game.
Yeah.
Like it's just smart. Like you have one set of ears.
Yep.
So that's my the more you know.
Yeah. No. 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 We're all in agreement here.
Yeah. But I mean, in terms of this, you have an ocean of writers on these songs. She is no longer the first credited writer. She's either not credited or the last credited writer on most of these, which means her contributions are minimal.
Yeah. Exactly.
And just there's also just a lot of like featured songs. So she's featuring the song Britney Spears, Nelly. She's featuring Future, Big Sean. This one was fun. I knew who French Montana was recently.
Okay.
Was not aware that he'd been around since 2013. So good on you, French Montana.
It means nothing to me.
So yeah, all in all, Bangers was not, as you so aptly put earlier. But then we'll get into Endless Summer Vacation.
Which sounds good.
It certainly does. Uh, and this album is where I want to talk about a couple things. One, with this album in particular, we cannot escape the drastic difference in her voice.
Hmm.
She sounds like a different person.
She
And
does.
there is reasons for that, which are, uh, cautionary, also a little funny, but mostly cautionary. So Miley Cyrus has had a vocal injury called Ranke's edema, which is a swelling of the vocal cords. An edema is when a part of your body takes in fluid. Ranke's edema is like the your Ranke is the part in the vocal cords. If you ever see it, it's like the two like white flaps of the vocal
Okay,
cords. It's the
sure.
part that makes the sound,
Hmm.
which for most people is extremely important. For singers, even more so. That's how you sing.
It's how you talk. It's how you do
It's
anything.
how you do anything. It's very important. And so she had Ranke's edema, which is something that has been known to happen in singers, but typically like in their 60s or 70s after years and decades of touring. Now, Miley Cyrus had went on to say that she got it, and it was like a vocal like stress injury, as in like she was overusing her voice too much, which can happen. However, Miley Cyrus has also been well known to be like a chain smoker and like chronic marijuana smoker, and like all of which also and more appropriately contributes to Ranke's edema. So I just thought it was a little funny that she was just like, yeah, people say like it's just for people who when they talk too much or when they sing all the time and like all that, and that's how I got it. It's like might have been the like packs of cigarettes and weed you were smoking every day,
That
all
could that
day.
could do it.
Either way, no judgment, and I actually think that she was very fortunate that she got a vocal surgery to fix the Ranke's edema. There
Hmm.
obviously is a permanent change to her voice because of the Ranke's edema,
Right.
but she still sounds really good. It created like a maturity and depth in her voice, but like she still has a ton of vocal ability, and I think like the raspy, gritty quality adds a depth to her voice. So she definitely is one of the luckier
Sure.
sufferers of Ranke's edema. But it is something that she's going to have to deal with because Ranke's edema can come back, and the surgeries can continue if you don't care for it.
Yeah.
Now
Okay.
into the actual songs, I think we are in the era of the best version of Miley Cyrus's music so far. That doesn't mean I love every song on this album, because I don't. But I think there's more songs on this album where I believe her and I believe the life that she's describing in the songs. So a song like Flowers feels like it has more depth to it than the other stuff we've been listening to. The song Jaded, the big one is the song Used to Be Young.
Hmm.
And maybe I might relate to that a little more than other people do right now just because I'm the same age as Miley Cyrus.
Sure. Yeah.
We're the same age. So, like, the stuff that she's singing about in this album, I do acutely relate to.
Hmm.
Now, there's still some real misses here. I mean, the album is still not geared towards me and my ears, and I understand that. I'm not the demographic that she's singing to. So, this is not an album I'm going to play again. Or want to listen to again, but this is definitely an album where, for the first time, there are lyrics in these songs that I can latch onto more than just it's a catchy tune or there's an iconic music video. Like, these are actually songs where there's some decency to them, even though for the most part they're still kind of misses and there's still like a team of writers involved.
Hmm. Yeah. Also did not enjoy this album, but I also recognize that it was better than Bangers. Um, I again, you're probably right about this being the best album that we listened to from her, which is not a particularly high bar. I still strongly disliked most of the songs, but there were at least some where I was just like, okay, this isn't torture. A couple more like this where I'm not like actively hating every second of it would be nice.
Yeah.
There were a handful of songs that were a little bit more stripped down that didn't rely on, you know, writing to the mean and making sure we had the exact second count and BPM count to, formulate the perfect hit. But
Yep.
here's what really bothered me about the song Flowers. And so I later read about it and finally found this reference to validate myself. I'm like, this sounds melodically a lot like When I Was Your Man by Bruno Mars. And also
Yeah.
then I like the
It's
second time the chorus came around, I'm like, it even sounds like she's like responding directly to Bruno Mars, what he was saying in that song. Which turns out, I guess, to be part of it, but like also different enough that he doesn't have to be a credited writer. But like, listen to, I mean, that was the first time I heard that song. I realized it was
yeah.
a big hit for her, but I don't live in that world. I live
No.
in my own very carefully procured world. So it was the first time I heard it, and all I could think the whole time was like, this feels melodically like a ripoff of Bruno Mars. So
Yeah.
I believe it was more, I guess it was more paying homage with something that's very close.
It was an
But like,
homage from like the other perspective, and then with some
yeah,
added stuff. It
right.
was it was a labor of love from Miley to
Which,
Bruno.
and I totally get that, and that's fine. But like, I guess my problem is almost all dance pop music from the years, say, 2010 to the present, already almost sounds exactly the same to me, song for song.
Sure.
When we go ahead and just start like borrowing melodic lines from songs that were hits like 6 years prior, I'm like, all right, at least go like sample something from like 40 or 50 years ago, like hip hop artists do. Bring something back to life that that wasn't, you know, popular for several decades
Sure.
instead of waiting, just barely a few years. But all in all, I mean, a lot of garbage, a couple of things that were better to make this, I guess, her best album, but I will never listen to Miley Cyrus ever again. This was like this was her one chance to woo me, and she failed.
I'll say I'm interested in Miley. Like I feel like my hope is that there will be a song or two on her albums after this that I like, similar to this album. I don't
Did
think I'm
you?
gonna be who she sings forever,
Never.
but I hope there is like one or two that I can relate to
Did you
because I
listen?
like her voice.
Did you listen to that one song, that
I
cover
did.
version that I told you about?
I did.
I don't know if you're going to talk about it in your notes at all because it was
I
by an
don't have it
artist
in
that
my
we
notes,
already.
so we can talk about it right
Okay,
now.
so she just her most recent song that she's put out is a
Yeah.
cover of "Psycho Killer" by the Talking
Hmm.
Heads, and I know you're not big on the Talking Heads as is, but my God, if that is not the worst cover song I've ever heard in my entire life, like I
It
wanted to
takes.
die the entire time.
It truly takes a lot. Like it takes a lot for me to want to listen to David Byrne.
Sure. Oh,
And
but
like
begging for
I
him.
did. But I did. Like it's a he has a very acquired taste.
Sure,
Like his voice is a very
definitely.
acquired
I agree
taste.
with you.
So I don't really like his voice, and I've said that before,
Mhm.
and I stand by
That's
it.
fine.
Like it's not my vibe.
That's fine. Yeah.
But I really was like, oh man, I would prefer David Byrne singing this, which is crazy because I think Miley Cyrus is a better singer than David Byrne
Sure, but
as a
everything
vocalist.
about that version of the
But it was
song
so
is
bad.
unlistenable.
It was bad.
Ugh.
All right, time to get into some notes.
Okay.
So for I have a couple. I mean, Miley Cyrus is a big name, so I do have a couple things for most of these
That checks out.
categories. For the unique one, I was kind of torn between two, and I thought it would be interesting to talk about. So, one song that we didn't cover on Miley Cyrus, which was a huge hit for her, was "Party in the USA,"
Sure, I remember it.
which I thought was funny because "Party in the USA," similar to Mariah Carey's "All I Want for Christmas Is You," every year since its release, charts again on Independence Day. "Party in the USA."
Oh, fascinating.
So similar to like the memes of Mariah Carey waking up from her coma to
Yeah,
like
right.
top the Christmas charts once again. Miley Cyrus's popping off on Independence Day.
It
It's
makes
her and
sense.
Bruce Springsteen
Yeah.
just living their top of the charts for Independence Day life. So I thought that was a little fun, unique fact. And then another one is I think I believe, now this is hard to verify,
Okay.
but I believe Miley Cyrus is the first artist we've covered who we have covered their godparent. So Dolly Parton is Miley Cyrus's
Okay.
godmother, who we covered earlier this season.
That's right.
She's good friends with Billy Ray Cyrus and has performed with Miley multiple times.
Okay.
Miley Cyrus has looked up to Dolly Parton for a long time. She told Paper Magazine in 2015 that Dolly Parton was the person who taught her how to treat people well.
That's nice.
And just shout out to Dolly for being a good
Yeah.
influence.
Oh,
as
you gotta
always.
love Dolly.
Gotta love Dolly. Highlight. It's really hard to not put Hannah Montana as the highlight of Miley Cyrus's career. Much to Miley Cyrus's chagrin.
I'm sure,
sorry,
yeah.
Miley. But it's tough. She was the queen of the fucking world. I mean, it was the most popular show on Disney Channel during its airing, and I believe since I don't know of a show that has been more popular since. Granted, I'm no longer
Beats the
in
hell out
age
of me,
group.
man. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
but
couldn't name one show that's playing on the Disney Channel.
she was a pop sensation as Hannah Montana and then as Miley Cyrus in those earlier times. Both. She was, a super high grossing artist at the time. During the Best of Both Worlds tour, tickets sold out in minutes, and she was selling out stadiums. It was the highest grossing concert tour in 2007 and 2008. Like, it was, she had over 1 million attendees to the concert, or to the tour, which at the time was unheard of. I mean,
Sure.
when you think of female pop artists who sell out stadiums, you think of Taylor Swift.
Definitely.
But she wasn't doing that in 2007.
Sure.
She
yeah,
was
still getting
popular in
started.
2007, but Miley Cyrus and Hannah Montana were it.
Yeah.
And so that's got to be the highlight. Now,
That's fair.
lowlights, we got a couple. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about here, which it's all kind of the same thing, and this kind of goes into meanest things too, because there's not really a dedicated mean thing
Sure.
that Miley Cyrus
Yeah.
has done. Her constant struggle with image in a post Disney world was tough for her. So she was the subject of a couple different scandals. So in late 2010, early 2011, she got caught on video smoking salvia at age 18. Right, of course, but she was Hannah Montana at the time.
Yeah. Right.
And so it was a huge controversy.
That's so unfair.
Of course, and a lot of the stuff is unfair to her.
Yeah.
But it is like lowlights in her career. Obviously, there was a thing at the Teen Choice Awards where during her performance she pole danced, and that was a whole big issue. It's a lot of Disney paid her a lot of money to be the goody two shoes.
Sure.
And she held that image for a long time. And she even said, like, she would even go in interviews, like, Miley Cyrus being a good girl is a business decision for me at this point.
Yeah.
All but saying, like, this isn't who I really am.
Yeah.
But, she then started to receive a lot of criticism for that stuff. Culminating, I should say, in the 2013 MTV Video Awards production, where everybody I think has seen this video. It was her in like a flesh latex bikini-esque outfit, like twerking and grinding on Robin Thicke with like a foam finger, and it was clearly a cry for help in her time. And it did kind of really shake the image of Miley Cyrus for a long time.
Sure.
Now, she has gone on to say in things, in interviews and stuff after that time, a lot of it had to do with Hannah Montana in general. She was working every day from 11 to 18. She didn't get the quote unquote school escape that a lot of kids get where they're not around their parents.
Yeah.
Every day she was working with her father, and her grandmother was involved as well. And like Dolly Parton was also like, her family and influences were constantly around her and forcing her to be a good, like a goody two
Well, I was gonna
shoes.
say, I mean, how many people have you met in your life that have had, let's say, very, very strict parents?
Yeah.
And how many of those people are fucking crazy the moment that they get away?
Yeah.
All of them? Yeah, that's been my experience too.
It's
You
same,
know?
and it's what happens. So I say lowlights loosely because
Yeah, I
they
feel
were
like she
lowlights
gets
in her career.
yeah, I feel like she gets way too much shit
Yeah,
for all of that stuff. As much as I don't like any of her music and will never listen to it again, all of the things about her personally and her sexuality or whatever, that's nobody's business. She can be whoever she wants to be, and I don't
yeah,
give a shit.
and she has come out as a pansexual person. She's dated, uh, I believe at the time, just men and women, but she's more than open to dating anybody on the binary spectrum or non-binary spectrum. So kudos to her for that stuff. Just lowlights in a career where it seems to be the trajectory of child stars, but it does seem like it was just kind of a blip for her. Like
Yeah.
she figured out who she was
Hmm.
and has recovered nicely as a person.
Sure.
And we'll go into some of the things she's done, some of the nicest things that she's done. And there's a billion of them. I mean, seriously, she has multiple charity singles that she's released. She's been an avid supporter of the City of Hope National Medical Center. She has supported the Elton John AIDS Foundation, the Entertainment Industry Foundation, Habitat for Humanity, the USO. Just tons and tons of them. She was a big person who supported To Write Love on Her Arms, which was about teen suicide, I believe it was.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was about. It was about a
Sounds like the
trouble.
kind
Yeah,
of thing she'd be involved in.
of course. She was a person who appeared on commercials for like American Red Cross and held multiple things in regards to the 2011 tsunami. So a ton of really great stuff from her. There's so many more that I could talk about. I want to highlight two more things though.
Okay.
But I do recommend that anybody read her philanthropy section on her Wikipedia. It is extensive.
That's nice.
And it's great to see somebody, who's only in their early 30s with this extensive as a page, because
Right.
we have
Oh, yeah.
covered people twice this age who have no section and who
Right.
we struggle to even find one charity event they've done.
Sure.
So at the 2014 MTV Video Music Awards, so not the twerking and Robin Thicke one, the
Gotcha.
year after, she won Video of the Year for Wrecking Ball. And instead of accepting the award herself, she invited a man named Jesse to collect it on her behalf. Now, Jesse was a 22-year-old homeless man living in LA. She met him at a place called My Friend's Place, which is an organization that helps homeless youth find shelter, work, healthcare, and education. And she let him give a speech urging all of the people in attendance to learn more about youth homelessness in LA through Miley Cyrus's own Facebook page. And then she launched a campaign to raise funds for the charity. Just, I mean, actually,
It's
she
awesome.
used a time where she was winning an award to like not even be there to accept it herself and fully give the spotlight to somebody else to talk about a problem.
I love that. And thank goodness we live in a country where we would never demonize or criminalize the homeless, especially not at, the highest court of the land, specifically, giving any sort of rulings that might make it legal to, make sleeping outside illegal or anything like that. We're definitely not going after homeless people. We're really looking to try to help the unhoused. So I'm
Nick,
really
wake
glad.
up,
What?
please
What happened?
wake up. You're in a lovely dream.
Oh no.
The reality is so much worse. But then the other thing I wanted to highlight for Miley Cyrus is she's the founder of a thing called the Happy Hippie Foundation, which works to fight injustice facing homeless youth, LGBTQ youth, and other vulnerable populations.
Love it.
So she has been the founder of the Happy Hippie Foundation, and in 2024 it did become it rebranded as the Miley Cyrus Foundation.
I love it.
So,
I love all that.
which I would assume, knowing what I know about Miley Cyrus, is just a ploy to put her name on it
Yeah.
to get more money
Right.
for the charity, not for herself.
Yeah, obviously.
Like everything I've read about her has been like a true breath of fresh air. In a similar way, honestly, to when we read about Dolly Parton, like
Sure.
all of the stuff
Yeah,
that Dolly
she's
Parton
great.
did, like
She's awesome.
as much as Miley Cyrus said Dolly Parton was an influence on her, reading her Wikipedia in the philanthropy section, reading some of the other articles about it, is where I truly see the Dolly Parton influence.
Yeah. That's
So
nice.
shout out to Miley for really using her platform for good.
Agreed.
Now the last thing I've got is the 6 Degrees,
Oh, excellent.
which Nick, you're gonna love it
Oh, I already
because
do.
it's just one level of there's just one
Okay.
level. So Miley Cyrus, obviously, also an actress, has
Oh,
been
yeah.
in multiple films, has been in obviously multiple TV shows, including
course.
a big one, Hannah Montana. She had an uncredited cameo in a film, which was a lovely little film called Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So at the end credits, she played a character named Mainframe, voiced the character in the end credit scene of Guardians of the Galaxy
Okay.
Volume 2.
And I
Now,
know where you're
Nick, we
going
all
with
know
this.
who
God
was in
damn
Guardians
it.
of the Galaxy Volume 2. It's our boy Vin Diesel.
Do you just try to find Vin Diesel
I really,
every time?
I really wasn't this time. I just happened to read it on the Wikipedia. I was like, well, I know what the 6 Degrees is now.
All right.
She was in a film
You're
with
right.
Vin Diesel.
You're right. I also used a similar approach to find 6 degrees.
Good. My other
But I'll
6
say more
Degrees
about
was
that
she
later.
did star in a TV series from 2006 to 2010 called Hannah Montana with Billy Ray Cyrus.
We haven't
who
covered him yet.
We're going to soon cover him.
No, we haven't covered him
later
yet,
on
though.
today.
So later on today, hey,
If I
it's
picked
time,
that one, he would have
and
gone
it's
first.
time to move on to Billy Ray Cyrus.
I was so happy. I was so happy she was in that. I was really thrilled.
What are the odds? Oh, Billy Ray was in a very interesting film with people that we've covered before.
Oh God, I'm excited.
It's a film that is in a series of films whose cast list is always fascinating to read through.
Interesting. I'm assuming it's Scary Movie.
It is not, but it is similar. Don't spoil it. Don't
I'm not.
spoil
I'm
it.
just sorting in my notes for him.
But yeah, it is similar in the sense that it is a very deeply unserious film.
Oh, good. I would never spoil myself for that.
Good.
I'm excited to hear it from you.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
All right, let me bring up the Billy Ray albums. Yeah, I couldn't. I mean, seriously though, like the music wasn't great, but she is an excellent person.
That's what you like to hear.
Seriously,
And I've always like been very questionable, feeling very questionable about the hate that she gets, because it all seems to be about like her body
yeah.
and her sexuality. Like that's
Which
it's
is
not
bullshit.
Don't worry about it.
I mean, it's all bullshit. It's a fucking smear campaign against her.
Yeah, it's so dumb.
For deciding to be a bit of a rebellious adult after being a cookie cutter teenager,
Exactly.
forced against her will. It makes perfect sense. So, I didn't talk too much about the fact that they don't talk though, which we should.
Yeah,
talk
I
about.
wasn't sure if you were going to say that or not. I didn't do much on it, but I do have just like the basic thing that they disagree on. Which
Yeah, we can talk about it.
Because it's very recent.
It is very recent. Well, there's been other. I mean, really, when Tish and Billy Ray got divorced in 2013, that was kind of the beginning of it, and then it just has escalated since then. But I mean, honestly, with them, they're getting divorced, so maybe they'll rekindle
Hopefully
their relationship and become the father-daughter duo again. Maybe we'll get season 5 of Hannah Montana.
Or a collab album.
Oh my God, he played Billy Flynn in Chicago. How?
I don't know.
Did they not have to listen to him? Okay, well, no, it's fine. We'll get it.
All
We'll
right.
get it. We'll talk. Hold on.
Are
Let
you
me
ready?
just scroll up, and I'm ready.
Okay. Three, two, one.
Billy Ray Cyrus is an American country singer, songwriter, and actor. He's been active from 1989 until the present day. And we covered, you guessed it, 3 albums from our boy Billy Ray. We started with Some Gave All, which came out in 1992, just like we did.
That's right.
Then we followed that up with It Won't Be the Last from 1993. Spoiler alert, it was not the last.
Yeah.
And then we wrapped things up with The Snake Doctor Circus from 2019.
Okay, and I'm going to start with Some Gay
Oh,
Paul.
yes, please.
So here's the thing. This is the best-selling album in the United States in the year of 1992.
Yes, it is.
And to that fact, I can only say, what is wrong with everyone?
This album went 9
Why
times platinum.
why did it do that? Um I mean, it's mostly just like really dumb pop country music. Um Honestly, it could have been a lot of these songs could have easily been a model for like the post 9/11 country music that everyone in the music world all agrees is terrible and fake and not good. And the only thing I can think to give some credit for here is like, were some of the songs kind of like tongue in cheek? Like, I felt like some of them were maybe all like right at the line between serious and really bad and sort of tongue in cheek, almost like a comedy country album. And I guess like if some of the songs were intended to be comedic, that would be the nicest thing that you could say about them. Comedy rock is not usually a genre that does a ton for me, regardless, but that would definitely be better than what it is. The title track is literally vomit inducing. Like it just feels like I know from my research about him that Billy Ray is coming from a good place here and that he does genuinely care about like veterans. And but like this comes off as like a Republican wet dream, that song. I mean, it's
Ironic because
bad.
Billy Ray
He's
Cyrus is a
not.
Democrat.
Exactly. Right. It's bizarre. The nicest thing I can say about this album in earnest is that the studio guitarist Terry Shelton is great. He's a great musician. Really enjoyed listening to some of his licks and solos. Um, but this is a joke album. I mean, it was actually on Q Magazine's list of the worst albums of all time. And I get it. It feels like a sad joke. Like I cannot believe that this was the most popular album of the year.
Okay. So I will alleviate some of the tension in your heart, Nick.
Hmm.
They're all of the
My
songs
what
that you're
heart?
thinking of.
What type of heart is
Your
it?
achy breaky heart. It was all tongue in cheek.
Okay.
It was like him, like poking fun at like it was like a macho, like self mockery
Okay.
of him and like the over masculine persona of some
Sure.
country singers. So that part is real. Now, what I want to start with is my literal favorite Robert Costco quote,
Please.
which he, while reviewing for The Village Voice in 1992, he said about this album that Billy Ray Cyrus was over singing like Michael Bolton at a Perot rally. And
Timely.
truly excellent.
Yeah,
Now,
that's good. And he does oversing. Like I don't know
yeah,
if that's just like part of the joke, but like it sounds like he sounds almost Springsteen-esque in the way that he
so
just oversins everything.
seriously, that is exactly my note for this album is it rarely hits its best. but at its absolute best, where it's more rock than country on some of these songs, and he's really going for it, at its absolute strongest, he sounds like a great value brand Bruce Springsteen.
Well, there you go.
Like true, like literally he does. Now,
Yeah.
getting into the real meat of this album, it is when you realize that it's a joke and that it's tongue in cheek, the lyrics do become a little better. They become more
Sure, that's
like,
fair.
okay, it's not quite like Weird Al parody of the genre of a song and stuff, but it's definitely like songs like She's Not Crying Anymore, where it's like that schmaltzy cheese about how she's moved on from me and she's not.
What
It,
about Where Am I Gonna Live?
yeah, where am I gonna like?
Worm.
They
No, it's
become
pronounced
yeah, right,
worm.
worm. Where am I gonna live? It does become funny. It doesn't become good, but it becomes
No.
funny.
Yeah.
Now, there's other than because Some Gave All is definitely also like tongue in cheek, although it does come from a good place, as you
Sure,
mentioned.
yeah.
We really need to talk about two songs.
Let's.
One is obviously Achy Breaky Heart. It is the song
Which I
Billy Ray
heard for the
Cyrus is known for.
first time in its entirety this week.
Yeah, which good for you.
Yeah.
It was an incredibly popular big hit for him. Obviously not written by him, written by Don Von Tress,
That's
and
right.
was released in 1991 before him. Uh, but obviously he is the definitive version of the song.
Sure. Yeah.
It's catchy. It's not good. It's catchy. My favorite line in that song is, "Or tell your brother Cliff, or yeah, whose fist can tell my lip. He never really liked me anyway." Honestly, I like that line. I
Okay.
don't like
Fair
the
enough.
song. I like
That's
that
fair.
one line of being like, "That's a clever way to talk about getting punched in the
Sure,
face."
yeah.
Obviously not him, but Don Von Tress, good job.
Yeah.
And then we have to talk about just the atrocious cover of "These Boots Are Made for Walking." I mean, what the
Oh
fuck was
my
that?
god.
You're a country singer, and that song, like, it really sounded like if Bruce Springsteen tried to cover "These
It
Boots
was
Are Made
not
for
good.
Walking." And here's the thing: I know you don't like Bruce Springsteen's voice. I
I
also
don't.
have some issue with it. He's a good singer to in comparison.
Okay.
He is. I know, but he's a better singer than Billy Ray Cyrus.
It's like going to like it sounds like we're at like a fish market and you're pointing out like the different dead fish and you're like, "Oh, that one's a lot better at
Just
singing than this
don't.
one." It's like,
As long as
"Okay, well,
don't
I don't
talk
know what we're
about
arguing
his
about."
performance in "We Are the World," which is
Ugh.
laughable.
Yeah.
I every time I hear "We Are the World," which is probably once every 5 or 6 years.
Never.
Well, every once in a while, YouTube will just show me it, and I'll be like,
Okay.
I'll listen to it again. Why not? But it just when he comes in, like him and Cyndi Lauper
Who
are
we
both just like a
also covered.
1-2 punch of what are we doing?
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the artist we're covering, not Bruce
Right.
Springsteen. Yeah, this album was irredeemably bad, made slightly more palatable by the true understanding that a lot of this was a joke and
Sure.
and Billy Ray was in on the joke.
Which is good. Which is good.
Yeah, it made me feel better. So
Sure.
I hope it makes everyone feel better. All right, we're gonna go into "It Won't, Be the Last."
Although it was his last platinum,
Yeah, and maybe should have just been his last album.
probably.
Because here's the thing, none of it gets better. No, and if anything, with this album, I don't get as much of the tongue in cheek. It almost feels like this album was meant to be more legitimate. And
Sure.
it certainly then became much more sad. He is writing on a little more than half of these songs. He's the sole writer of 2 of them. Him and Don Von Tress write one of them. Von Tress is seen throughout this album. Von Tress, who wrote Achy
Sure.
Breaky Heart. So of course they were
Right.
like, let's get Don Von Tress to
So
write all of the songs.
it to go along with the point you're making. So of the 11 songs, 6 do not feature Billy Ray as a writing credit, and all 4 singles do not feature Billy Ray's writing at all.
Yeah, I mean
So
that should tell you all you need to know, really. Yeah, this album is bad. I also don't think he sounds as good on this album. So I do think this is just like a full, like multiple steps down. Not only did we lose the tongue in cheek, which was one of, if not the only redeeming factor of the first album,
sure.
we lost the little positive vocality that I thought he had. I just thought it was worse all the way through.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, you all just musically speaking, you probably if you queued them up at the same time, you probably wouldn't even know that it changed. Like an hour would go by, and you'd be like, "Oh, we must be in the middle of the second album by now." Um, Vocally, it always just feels oversung, forced, painful, not good, and that's pretty much it. I mean, even the songs themselves, they're very cookie cutter. They're very boring. We're 5 albums deep here, and I'm like, I don't really have anything to take up. Like, there's not a single thing here that we've covered this week at this point that I have any intention of ever hearing ever again. And that takes me
Maybe
into
it all changed with the
yeah,
Snake
the Snake
Doctor
Doctor Circus,
Circus.
which this is one of the only album between Billy Ray and Miley that doesn't even have its own wiki page. But let me tell you, the first thing that I found out when I started reading up on this album was in the first week, it sold 425 copies.
Honestly,
And
that's a lot.
and that's what I was going to say. Compared to his first album, which was the best-selling album in America that year, the year that we were born, this seems way more appropriate to the level of quality of this album. And we complained about his voice on the first 2 albums. Not only does it sound like his voice has lowered somehow, like a significant amount, it's also either mixed or recorded so poorly that like it just sounds like a deep muddled something in the middle of this record, and like I can't make out what he's saying on anything. I did read a couple sets of lyrics because I saw a song by the name of Goddess of Democracy, and I'm like, this is going to be the dumbest attempt at a political song ever. And I read the lyrics, and they're not good. Maybe they're better.
What?
Maybe they're better performed, or if he could explain them. But like, I did not find them to be good. I found it to be pretty dumb. Um, and apparently, the album was supposed to be healing, and the goal was to, quote, bring people together in this time of great political strife. I don't know,
Okay.
man. Like, I love the idea of people not wanting to kill each other all the time and to have real conversations about their disagreements instead of demonizing each other. But it's also just to like be like, yeah, this album was all about bringing people together, man. It's the same old stupid generic country album where with a terrible mix, and none of the songs are like particularly even about anything. There's like we used the buzzword of democracy in one of the titles. Like it's just it feels pretty just empty and meaningless. Like the whole point behind it felt like a big nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
Okay. So here's what I think is so funny about this album and what you said about it, because it's all true, including the really mumbly, nonsensical singing, like the
Mm-hmm.
low, deep voice. This album came out after Billy Ray Cyrus blew up again.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like had a huge resurgence,
Right.
being featured on Lil Nas X's Old Town Road remix. He sang the chorus of that. and everyone was like, Billy Ray, like, love that. And it was a
Didn't
huge
translate.
comeback for him. And then he released this mumbly nonsense where it almost sounded like lyrically, like there were times when he like was trying to do a Bob Dylan impression lyrically
Sure.
while forgetting that, it's rough to lose a vocal contest to Bob Dylan.
Sure. And
It's
also,
rough to lose.
like, you got to have something to say. It can't just be
Yeah.
like, we should heal and come together. What does that mean?
Yeah.
That's usually it's like one
How
of
do we
those things that
solve that problem?
annoys me. It's like, yeah, we should like come together and think about our problems. Okay, like that's the easiest thing in the world to say, and it doesn't mean a goddamn thing. Take a
I will
stance.
say
Be in favor of something. Have a plan.
there was so I looked at the All Music review.
All right.
So Stephen Thomas Erlewine did mention Lil Nas X. He also did mention Bob Dylan, which I was really appreciative because I was thinking that that's what he was going for. Is like a weird like socio folk, like political, but absolutely failed at it.
Totally failed.
But in the user reviews, one man, his name is Quentin Wade,
Good for him.
said I purchased this album with high expectations and was not disappointed. This is a great album. Gave it 5 stars.
Good for him.
I
That's what it's for.
am curious. I
Also,
mean,
how do you come off of a 10 million selling single and immediately sell 425 copies of an album? How do you do it? I feel like by accident you sell a few thousand copies.
it really like seriously. I'm with you. Like how bad was the publicity? Like
Yeah. I
just
mean, I would love 425 copies of our album to be sold, but we're
yeah.
nobody. We're not famous. We don't have a record deal or
But
anything
at the
like
same
that. Like
time,
we don't.
if we got featured on a song that blew up like Old Town Road, like if we
I
got
would be
featured
disappointed then if we only sold 425 copies of our
right,
album that came out immediately after.
that's what I'm saying. Like it's truly a challenge to fail
Yeah,
that
it's
abysmally.
bizarre.
But it does suck. I mean, the album's really bad.
It's bad.
Unlike with Miley, where I think her third album we listened to was the best of the three, although still not great to listen
Right.
to. Clearly, this is not only the worst album of Billy Ray, it's the worst album of the week.
I don't know.
I know
Bangers
you
is
don't
way down
like
there for me.
bangers. I know you don't. I
If I had to
agree.
listen to one of them again, I don't know. I'm not willing to
I
commit to
know.
listening to any of them again.
Listen, and I would never ask you to. But what I'll say is, with bangers, though it's not a good album and not an album I enjoyed listening to, there was some redeeming parts of it. The Wrecking Ball as a song was not bad. The
Okay.
music video was iconic. There were things about bangers that redeemed it a little bit. This album was garbage, and there was no redemption.
Yeah.
That's the difference. So that's why I say it does firmly sit for me at least as the worst of the week because there's nothing I can say, there's no excuse I can give to say like, well, it has this because it
Sure.
doesn't. The only thing I can say is it's less than 40 minutes long.
Yeah,
So the
that's
torture
nice.
is a little bit it's brief.
That's totally fair. All right, let me talk about this guy, I guess. Um, and here's the thing: there was one category I struggled with immensely,
Okay.
and it was unique. And at the end of the day, here is what I came up with. For a guy to have had an album that was the highest selling album of a year, to be on a bunch of TV shows and movies, to be very powerful in a certain segment of the music community, and to still have his career completely overshadowed by his child, who was way more famous and popular. That's pretty unique. That doesn't happen all that often. Not
No,
many
it does
people can
not.
sell basically some, depending on where you go, like 10 to 20 million copies of his very first album, and then to be like a footnote in the history of his like daughter's career in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
That's unique. Um, The highlight is
Which what
yeah.
I'll
Go
say
ahead.
though, I'll say real quick, for a good parent, probably a positive, right?
Sure, understandable,
Like if you're if
understandable.
I
Although
don't
I
and
think
again, I'm not
he
going to
doesn't
comment.
like I think he has said that he would take everything back about letting Miley do Hannah Montana and all that stuff because of what it did to the family.
Yeah.
I like just in a way
And
protecting her from
we will
that
talk about
the
that
issues.
before
Yeah,
we get into things like their relationship is not great.
yeah, right.
So,
But like, and obviously, like through the research, this is not fully the case. But had you asked me coming in, the most famous thing about Billy Ray Cyrus, I would have said, well, he's Miley's dad.
yeah.
As a 32-year-old man, like the most famous thing I could say about, I know he had a big single that is huge in a way that people think it's one of the worst songs ever recorded. So if you had asked me like who does Billy Ray Cyrus like kind of match up with as an artist, I would have said like I don't know, the Baha Men, who are known for one single that everybody hates.
Also a
Like I
cover.
didn't, yeah, exactly. That's also that they also didn't write. It was a cover. Um, but like that's all I knew about him. I'm like he was famous for like I don't know one song, and everybody hates that song. Turns out that he was famous for some other things, and that he sold a lot of records aside from that. But like I never would have known.
No, how could you?
Yeah. For his highlight, though, I'm going to have to go with Old Town Road, which we have discussed, which is another one of those songs which I don't think I've ever listened to beginning to end, and I hope that I can go the rest of my life without. Um, but it was
Well,
Billy
we're going to
Ray's,
cover Lil Nas X at some point.
I don't know. It was Billy Ray's first number one hit on the Hot 100. So good for him. It also broke the record for the longest running number one in history, and it became the fastest song to ever be awarded a diamond certification. I don't know what this says about us as a society, but that is the truth. That
I
is
listen. I think unironically, Old Town Road's a decent song.
okay.
It's not a good
I believe you.
song in comparison to like if you're comparing it to like rock or like classic rock music, it does not hold up. But I think the year it came out, which is 2019, if you're holding
Sure.
it up to the
Sure.
any music in
No,
that
I
same
understand.
genre in that year, it's heads above.
Okay, that's fair. I know, and I understand that I'm a generally speaking a pop hater, but it is what it is. His low light. This was a little bit tougher. Um, there's some things that are maybe tied into the meme thing, but he did actually at one point in 2010 announce his retirement from recording albums, which obviously he did not hold up with. In yeah, it was in 2010 he announced his retirement from recording, and then he released another album in 2012, and just kept on going. So I don't know. In 2017, he also tried to rebrand as the artist formerly known as Billy Ray, and that instantly fell apart, and he backtracked and stayed as Billy Ray Cyrus. He had a
Fascinating.
weird diversion in his early 2000s career where he became a Christian artist for two albums. Like, none of it worked, is the point. Like, he has done a lot of weird things. He's changed into some strange genres, made some strange claims, and then all of them backtracked. And then he just keeps putting out bad music, album after album, year after year. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. As far as meanest and nicest, I did say earlier that he is actually like pretty dedicated to veterans causes, which is absolutely true. And he also contributed a song to an AIDS benefit album in 1994, which is awesome. He has spoken out on multiple occasions against things like anti-LGBT laws that have been enacted in various states. So things that you just maybe wouldn't expect from someone who is famous for country music and also did multiple Christian albums. So good for him for not being a bigot. I appreciate
Yeah.
that in a person. And then the other thing that's sort of a low light, sort of meanest is his relationship with Miley and some of his other children based on this woman named Fire Rose, which there's the meanest thing right there. Who's naming their child Fire Rose? Um, but like this marriage to this woman Fire Rose that
Yeah.
clearly caused a lot of chaos and uproar within the Cyrus family. I'm not sure if they're currently on speaking terms. You said maybe they're still not,
The
but
last
they
thing that
are
I have
getting
heard
divorced.
was that her was Billy Ray's engagement to Fire Rose is what made Miley go no contact with him anymore.
Sure.
There's already been
Okay.
some tumult in the family, so
And she's
Tish,
only 4 years older than Miley slash us,
which was
which is a
part of
little
the
weird.
issue. But Tish, Miley's mother, Miley and Noah and Trey, like the
Hmm.
Cyrus children's mother, and Billy Ray were married for a long time. Their
Yeah,
divorce in 2013 started kind of fracturing the relationship between Billy Ray and Miley,
gotcha.
and I don't know what repairs were done in any time between that and Fire Rose, but the whole Fire Rose ordeal was Miley was kind of disgusted by the age difference
Yeah,
and went no
understandable.
contact. So I don't know if or I don't know what the deal is with their current relationship. I didn't really find anything. One thing I did want to mention though, because you're talking about good things that Billy did too,
Yes. Hmm.
the Old Town Road remix was was not just like Lil Nas X didn't just like reach out to him to remix it. What happened with Old Town Road was it was topping the country charts, and for whatever reason, I'm sure it has nothing to do with the fact that Lil Nas X is a black rapper. The country charts and the Grand Ole Opry and Nashville in general were not super happy about him topping the
What?
charts, and they pulled it, claiming that it wasn't country and that he wasn't a country singer. And that's why it wasn't classified as country. It was just classified as like a rap song to them.
Hmm.
And so, Lil Nas X was reaching out to people, and Billy Ray was like, I'll sing the chorus. I'm a country singer. I'll sing it. And they released the Old Town Road remix, which then they had no choice but to let hit the charts because
Okay.
Billy Ray is a bona fide country singer.
Right.
So I just wanted to shout out that is a really positive thing about Billy Ray is that he like immediately was like, I'm doing it. Let's go.
Okay.
Like,
Good for him. What you're gonna love even more are the 6 degrees. So first of all, I got to let you know he did drop out of Georgetown to pursue his music career.
okay.
Shockingly enough, and the reason he dropped out of Georgetown to become a musician was because he saw a Neil Diamond concert. And
Okay.
I can't make heads or tails out of seeing Neil Diamond and then thinking this is what I want to do with my life. But
Hey.
it worked out for him. It worked out for him. But more importantly, Billy Ray Cyrus starred in one of what I've heard is one of the greatest films of all time, which is called Sharknado 2, the second one. And he starred in that film as, of course, Dr. Quint.
Good.
Now, starring alongside of him, actually in the main cast of the film, the principal cast of the film, is Mark McGrath of Sugar Ray fame.
What?
Yes,
Oh
Mark
my god, I
McGrath is
really
in the
thought you were
main
going to give me
cast.
an actor.
Nope. There are real actors in it, like Vivica A.
Yeah.
Fox
Well,
and
maybe
Tara
Mark
Reid.
McGrath's a real actor. I mean, he's been
Um,
in Sharknado too, the second
yeah,
one.
sure. I mean, but can I tell you, the company that they keep? You can scroll through this cast for 1 second, and I see at least two bona fide sexual criminals in Andy Dick and Jared Fogle. So,
Jesus
like,
Christ.
you
Okay.
go, like everyone who's listening, if you ever hear me, take 10 minutes and go on a little rabbit hole dive through the casts of the different Sharknado movies. Never has there been a stranger cast of characters than the cast that they pull together for all of those films. It's bizarre. Oh, Kelly
Just
Osbourne is also in it.
just
So
fascinating.
the daughter of Ozzy. So that's also sort of a, you know,
Yeah, we're get
bringing that
we're
in. Yeah,
it's almost
it's a bit of a
connecting.
stretch. It's a bit of a stretch.
The Mark McGrath one's not though. It's
But Mark
legit.
McGrath's not. No, Michael Strahan's in that movie too.
Fascinating.
Yep, like it's
Um,
bizarre. I don't even know what to say about it.
well, all I have to say about
Okay,
Michael
let's
Strahan is
give.
Go Birds. Although I
Yeah,
do like him
agreed.
as a person, but still
That's
Go
true.
Birds.
I mean, way back in the day, David Akers used to make all his field goals directly between his two front teeth.
Oh my gosh. Are you wrapped up on your notes for Billy
I
Ray?
am good.
Okay. I do have one thing I want to say before we
Please.
score, because this may be the greatest episode for Robert Christgau we've ever had.
I love it.
We love to rag on him when he's wrong,
Yeah,
but
which
so
is
far
most
he's
of the
come
time.
out with the greatest quote I've ever heard in regards to Billy Ray's voice and comparing it to Michael
Yeah.
Bolton at a Perot rally. And he voiced his opinion on the whole Old Town Road controversy. And
Okay.
he straight up said, taking Old Town Road off the country chart strikes me as racist, pure and simple, because country
Obviously.
radio remains racist, regardless of the Darius Ruckers and Kane Browns it makes room for.
Yep.
And I'm just like, wow. It's rare to have multiple Robert Christgau quotes in the one episode where I agree with everything he said.
Yeah. Well, you know what the
It's
reason
rare.
is? It's because he has questionable taste in music to us. At least he's not an idiot.
Yeah.
At least in terms of like the way that the world operates, he understands. So
You're not wrong. So, all right. I wanted to give him a little bit
fair.
of his flowers since
Yes.
we always have and will
Undoubtedly, we'll be
continue to
taking the
rag
piss
on
out
him.
of him. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Let's start our grades
I'm
here.
gonna go ahead and say that Miley should get a few more points than Billy here.
Yeah, I do think so. She was like the queen of the world for a while. I mean,
Yeah.
she's still a popular icon, but I mean, there was a number of years where she was everywhere. She was all over media and social media and in the public eye. She's a household name for sure. I think, and I think honestly, to a lot of people, her being a household name is why people know who Billy Ray is today.
It's the reason I know who he is.
Right. So I think there's a lot to be said about that. Now, when you look at cultural impact, a lot of the points we like to give here are like influence based and
It's
things like
gonna be
that.
just popularity.
It's just
It's
popularity
gonna be
for
just
her.
popularity. Yeah. For both of them.
Although, for both of them, yeah. So, I mean, I'm thinking a number probably in like the high sixes.
That's fine. I have
I
no
think like a
qualms with
six
that. I give
seven
her
or
a six
6.8.
nine.
Give her a 6.9.
I have no
Yes.
problem with that. Billy Ray, here's I mean, like, it's weird looking at the success of his first album and then like a massive drop off, but still platinum for the second one, then still gold
Yeah.
after that, but then no more certifications. Like clearly, there's more to him than a one hit wonder,
Yeah.
but it's crazy for someone with the level of success he achieved in his professional career to still be like such an afterthought, to be like so forgotten, 99.9% of his music completely forgotten, and the other 0.1% like strongly hated, up at least until Old Town Road became very popular.
Sure.
So it's just a very interesting case.
I mean, the number that screams to me is 3.
I love it. I'm gonna give him a 3.
Yeah, I think more than the one hit, some success, and I do think he gets a couple points for Hannah Montana, like being in that show, being
Sure.
her actual father, and then the Old Town Road jump again to give him some
Yeah,
extra
I think
points.
that's fair. So then we're going on to breadth of work. So William Raymond has 16 studio albums, which means he will be starting with 6.1 points. And he's going to get a little bit more. My sources are a little like I've seen some sources that put his total album sales in the 12 million and change. I've seen other sources that say that it's possible that Some Gave All sold up to 20 million copies worldwide by itself. So I don't really know 100% what to say, but I'm going to say it's a minimum of like 12 and a half and a maximum of like 21
Yeah,
in terms of his sales. I'm going to give him 0.2 points and I'm going to move on. How's that?
I love it.
But wait, I'm going to take some of them away now.
Oh yeah, of course,
I'm going to
you
take
are.
0.3 of them away.
Wonderful. I'm taking 0.4 away.
I love it.
I truly It would almost be a point 0.5 if he was serious about the first album.
Yeah,
I would have taken a
that's
full
fair.
point 0.5 because I think all three of these albums sucked.
Oh, terrible. Honestly, the only reason I didn't take more is because like Terry Shelton is the only good thing
Sure,
about his albums because he's like a really terrific guitar player.
fair enough. So Miley has 8 studio albums.
Right. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and start her off at a 5.2.
Cool. Now we are well in the range of she has sold in the 55 million in
Okay.
singles worldwide.
So that puts her to a five in the 5758 territory. Do you have a preference?
I say give her a 5.8 just
Done.
because 20 million albums worldwide is a pretty wild number, and I'm giving her
Sure.
credit for that. And a bunch and the difference between her and Billy Ray is it's over multiple albums. So
Hmm.
she's had albums go 4 times platinum, 3 times, 2 times.
Sure. Yeah, that's
You
totally
know,
fair.
good stuff from her on that front. And then in terms of points, I'm going to leave her alone.
Wow.
I I
That's
really
insane.
I'm
Okay.
debating. I'm debating.
Well, that's fine. You can leave her alone. She's going
Yeah.
down.
Of course. Well, yeah, I know. I think that the first album was bad, but again, she was a child. The
Yeah.
second album was bad, and the third album
Real bad.
had 3 good songs, and the rest was bad. So yeah,
That
I'm gonna
sounds
take
like
away point one.
a lot of bad.
I'm gonna take away
Okay.
point one. You're right.
You
I'm not
got it.
gonna leave her alone.
Okay, I'm gonna take away the point four.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah, it was unlistenable. Instrumental talent. Uh right away I will say studio musicians are I'm just gonna put as a wash
Yeah,
between the two of them. We're gonna compare them on what they do. Billy Ray occasionally plays some I guess rhythm guitar tracks that make it onto the album. Um, but 99% of what's going on is just vocals from both of these artists in terms of what they're contributing on the records. So that's what they're going to be compared on. And I don't think either one of them is great. I think Miley is the better singer, but I'm not loving either one of them as a vocal. I think Miley is a good singer, and I think Billy Ray is not. But he's not the worst singer. He's just, meh.
I think that Miley Cyrus is a very good singer who doesn't sing the genre she should sing. She has a ton of gravel in her voice, especially
She
her
does.
adult voice post Ranky's edema.
Hmm.
And she had, if she was, instead of singing pop based songs, if, for instance, if the Miley Cyrus of 2024 re-released Meet Miley Cyrus with its slightly more pop rock oriented genre, I
Would sound
think I
better.
would really enjoy her singing more.
Sure, I get that.
So I think she's a lot of vocal talent that isn't utilized correctly.
Sure. I mean,
Now,
which hurts. I mean, it
which
doesn't hurt
hurts.
her as much as it would if
Yeah,
she was just
it still
bad.
definitely hurts though. It definitely the fact that a lot of these songs aren't used correctly, but the couple that are, I really do think that Used to Be Young is a good indicator of a ballad, which is a pop ballad, but all ballads are ballads.
Sure.
It's almost a genre in and of itself. Showcases the where her voice could go,
Hmm.
and I really would love to see her just kind of hit that harder edge in her voice a little more.
Sure. Yeah,
Like,
no, I totally get that.
and Billy Ray's not a good singer.
No, but again, I don't think he's like the worst. Like I would
No.
give him like a 3.8 or a 3.9
Yeah, I'd be
purely on
fine giving
vocals.
him a 3.9 and her a 5.2.
Okay, that's fine.
I think she's above that. I think if she ever does take my advice, if she ever hears this and
Yeah,
takes my
right.
advice
Probably.
and releases a
A
pop
Janis
rock
Joplin
album,
cover album.
a Janis Joplin cover album, or even more in the realm of Pink,
Okay.
where with a more she has more gravity, gravel in her voice than Pink, so it wouldn't sound the same. but like that genre where it's more hardcore, more rock, a little less like bubblegum pop, a little less pop in general or electronic dance.
Hmm.
I could see her, even on that one album being around a 6 vocally.
Sure.
Like I think she has more potential than she gives.
Sure.
I don't
That's
think
totally
Billy Ray
fair.
does.
No, no, he overdoes it. Look, songwriting is also not going to be a strong category for
No,
either of
for
these
either one of
artists,
them. No, no, no.
both because one, the vast majority of the songs were bad on all 6 albums that we listened to, and two, it took both of them a team of co-writers and people who wrote the songs that they covered to put together bad songs.
Absolutely. The
uh,
the difference it is slight, but the difference is Miley Cyrus is typically included in writing
in the
what are considered
lyrics,
her hits and the lyrics of her
less so the music. Yeah.
less so the music. Yeah.
Whereas I think Billy Ray is probably contributing a little bit more to the musical writing, so I think that will
Yeah.
play into his favor for songwriting. Because Miley, I like, to what extent is she composing the music for these songs that
I
she's
don't
singing?
think it's a ton. Miley Cyrus, this is actually a very interesting take. I'm not going to say I agree or disagree with it, but
Sure.
it is interesting.
Okay.
After her like vocal diagnosis and surgery and recovery, she has started considering herself the same way athletes consider themselves.
Okay.
She considers herself an athlete, and by that I mean like her training and her regimen. But I did think that was like super interesting, like of a way to put it. Like she's
In
like just
terms of
like an
taking care of your voice, I get it.
yeah. Like exactly, she's like in terms of like the routine that people do, like athletes do to take care of their body. Like I'm now doing that for my voice,
Okay. Fair enough.
which I thought was a very
Sure.
interesting.
Doesn't write songs. Here's the
Doesn't write
thing.
songs.
I can't prove that she doesn't actually write any of the music to go along with this, so I'll give her an entire point.
That's fair. I think that's
That's
great.
that's where I'm willing to go. Billy
And that
Ray, I guess I will give a little bit more than a point, but not by
okay,
much.
like a 1.2.
Yeah, essentially, because I think there's a better chance that, because he does in fact play some rhythm guitar, that he's maybe come up with a handful of progressions or
The
ideas.
only thing I don't like, like again,
Was all of the music we listened to this week.
well, yeah, but the only thing that I don't like here, in terms of the score difference here, is Billy Ray has one big hit with a second other hit that he's featured on with Old Town Road.
Sure,
He is zero writing credits on either one of them. Miley Cyrus
that's
is
fine.
writing credits on
Yeah,
songs
but
and hits
what
for
I'm
her.
saying is I think that's what you were alluding to earlier.
Yeah,
It wasn't the songwriting; it was the lyric writing that was her
yeah, which
contribution to
well,
those. And
you're
then
probably right. I just
that was the assumption I was running under to give these scores.
we're there's no disagreement here because these scores are both basement level anyway. I
Correct.
don't give a shit between a
It's
point
not
two
going to make
points
a
here.
difference in the outcome.
No, but it's just something where it's like I don't like that Billy Ray. Like that's the big thing hurting him is he was no
Sure,
involvement in the songwriting for his hit.
sure, fair enough. And then poetic talent, and again, look, I am sub average for both of these artists.
I am
I
too. I'm
know that
definitely
you had a one or two nice things to say about the third album, but
yeah, and there
my
are
God,
yeah
the
there
vast
are some
majority of
nice
what
things.
Miley's lyrics are not good
Yeah, there are some nice things to say about Miley Cyrus's lyric writing in the third album
on some
and
songs.
on some songs for sure. It definitely doesn't get rid of all of the bad.
There's a lot of one or even sub one songs that I
Yeah,
listened to on the first two
yeah,
albums.
I completely agree. And she's also not writing on all. Like if she was the
Not writing
credited
on all of them.
lyricist in
True.
all of them, that would also
Right.
boost her score a little bit.
Yeah.
Uh, but let me be clear. Even me saying that like there's some songs that I really liked in terms of the lyrical quality of the third album, if all three of these albums were all that level of writing from her, I would still be in the fives. Like they're not incredible. I
Yeah.
just can relate to them. And again, I said that when we talked about them.
Right.
because I'm the same age and
We
I
are,
get
in
what she's
fact.
singing about.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, what do you think that climbs her all the way up to a 2? Because that's the
no,
highest I would be
absolutely
even.
not.
Okay, cool. So we're
I
still in the
think
ones.
I think we're in like a 1.5 range for her,
Done.
and I think we're significantly lower for Billy Ray.
Oh, that's fine. I
We're
mean,
under a
too
one.
bad.
We have to be.
That's fine.
The lyrics are all
I
like
know.
bad.
I'll give him a point 0.8.
A point eight works.
You know,
And again, that's the big thing for. He's not even credited as a writer at all on Achy Breaky Heart.
that's
And while it's a
which
terrible
thank
song,
which I
it's
think
his
that might
only
help
big
his
hit.
poetic talent.
It's his only hit though.
Um, Now we're just down to X Factor, and all I can think is Billy Ray. I mean, here's the thing: you look at a picture of this guy, look at the picture on his Wikipedia right now, and tell me that you believe that this man is a country singer instead of a member of Soundgarden. Because I don't buy it. I look at that man, and he is clearly a grunge artist.
I do
He
know
could
that, yeah.
only play grunge.
Well, until he talks.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Until you hear him talk. He's like, hey, I'm Billy Ray Cyrus.
Yeah, but just based on looking at him, like he clearly missed his calling.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Oh man, in an alternate world, we are on a podcast talking about the Billy Ray Cyrus grunge career.
Although when you look at the picture of him on the cover of Some Gave All with his short hair and his jean jacket to go
Oh
along with
yeah.
his blue jeans, that screams country.
You know what? Kudos
He
to them
evolved
for
into
having
a
two
grunge
different
artist
colors
later
of
on.
denim.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right,
Oh
I got
man.
nothing. I'm not giving him any more points. I've given him enough points.
No, yeah, we're not
You
giving
want to
him
give
any
any
points.
X
I mean,
Factor to Miley?
as far as Miley Cyrus goes, I it's tough for me because like I feel like there's a lot of things that could be considered X Factor, like Hannah Montana,
Sure.
the icon of Hannah Montana, and then the like very public struggle of Miley Cyrus to distance herself from Hannah Montana before eventually kind of accepting that there is no distancing yourself from Hannah Montana, and kind of like coming to terms with that has been a very public thing for her. And I do think that there's something to be said about
I
that.
would give at least a point for that. I don't have a
Yeah,
problem with that.
I think that's probably worthy of a point. You know, because it was everywhere. I mean, and she's also like I give her credit for kind of overcoming it because how many artists have we seen like look like Britney Spears who was a huge pop sensation and then the overbearing media and pressures kind of broke her for a long time. And I think as far as I have seen now, she's just kind of now starting to be a person again.
Yeah,
You
people
know?
who become famous as teenagers don't do well.
No, and it's well, most of them don't do well. Some of them do,
Sure, yeah.
and it's usually almost entirely indicative of the support system they had.
Yeah.
And it's clear that Miley Cyrus's support system let her down, which unfortunately is Billy Ray. He's he's her father. He's got to be
Yeah.
a member of that support system.
Yep.
So yeah, I think a point.
All right. I've got final scores, and I can tell you
I
who won the finale. All right. And winning this week with one, let's see, the lowest winning score since episode 163 overall, which was Zebra versus Zebra,
oh my god.
was Miley Cyrus with a 20.9.
Hey, broke the 20s.
She broke the 20s. And coming in a close second with a score of, oh, sorry, is Billy Ray Cyrus with a 14.5.
Oh my gosh. Honestly, overachieving.
Overachieving. You know,
Overachieving.
thank goodness that this week is over and we can move into our end of season fun things and our season 7.5 trip back to the 90s. But we will be skipping the best selling album of 1992 in that
Yes,
journey.
we will.
So,
Oh, it is truly wild. I wanna say just two quick things before I sign
ahead.
off here. thing number one, while we did rag on the music this episode, I just want to give one more shout out to specifically Miley Cyrus's philanthropic
Absolutely.
efforts.
Never about the person, unless
Yeah.
it's, Jerry Lee Lewis or Ted
Yeah, unless the
Nugent
person also
or
sucks.
Kid
And it seems
Rock.
pretty clear to me that the person does not suck.
Yeah, if
The
it's a
music
terrible
is not
person, we'll
good.
let you know.
Yeah. Oh, we will let you know. I have a list. I have a list of the terrible people we've covered. Ted Nugent, Jerry Lee Lewis, Fred Durst. There's
Child
Kid
Stone.
Rock, Child Stone himself. There are people we've covered that are just absolute. Ugh. And
Yeah.
that's I believe that's how you spell that.
I think so.
So just shout out to Miley Cyrus for not being that. And two, it needs to be said. The commercial performance for Some Gave All, it was 43 weeks in the top 10, which has only ever been topped by one country album, which is Rope in the Wind by Garth Brooks, which
That's
is
crazy.
arguably like the most popular country album of all time.
You're right.
That's wild to me that is like the comparison between those two. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not a huge Garth Brooks stan. I think he's fine.
No.
I think he's okay. I mean, he's obviously very popular. But like, what? It
I
goes
just don't
Garth
understand
Brooks, Billy Ray Cyrus.
I mean, just to
What?
mention albums that we have covered that were also released in 1992 include Blind Melon's eponymous debut, Dream Theater's Images and Words. Like, there were good albums. Sublime's 40 Ounces to Freedom, which was not the one which was absolutely awful. Like, there were albums that were released this year. That Neil Young's Harvest Moon was released that year. Eric Clapton's Unplugged was released that year. Sade's Love Deluxe was released that
Dirt
year.
by Alice in Chains was released that year.
Yeah. So Automatic for the People. Like, I just don't understand how none of those albums did better than this one.
Yeah, well,
I don't understand. It's
don't
not the
think we'll
world
ever
that I
know.
wish to live in.
I don't think we will ever know.
Yeah.
But just
Okay.
thank you all for hanging out with us.
Spay and
As
neuter your
always.
pets.
We covered Red House Painters, didn't we?
We did, yes.
So they released an album in 1992 as well.
They
it
were
was
decent.
better. Yeah. So thank you for hanging out with us for another wonderful season. A ton of fun.
That's right.
Season 7 is, in terms of scoring, is in the books, and we will meet back with the best of the rest, where
Excellent.
we will discuss, and then we'll wrap things up with our award show.
Oh boy, oh boy.
And looking forward to both.
Yes.
Although one requires a lot of math from me.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I never save the spreadsheet. And I always just
Why would
do
you?
it all. Because it would make too much sense.
It would. All right.
All right.
We've spent an hour and 40 minutes talking about the Cyruses. I need to go.
It's the season finale. We have to stretch it out a bit. And there was a lot to talk about.
There
But
was.
with that, please do me a personal favor, everybody listening. Don't listen to Billy Ray Cyrus. And when you don't do that, you will have a great day.
Okay. My dinner has been here for a time, so I must go and
Of
retrieve
course.
it. But maybe tomorrow we can figure out what we're going to do for, like, between sets or something. We can pick our
We can
BOTR albums.
draft yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Love
Excellent. All right. I will see you tomorrow.
It. All right. Sounds
Adios.
good. Adios. All right, peeps. That's it for me as well. I'm gonna call it a season. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you next time. Bye.